on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back again for another exciting episode here, and this is one that I think, particularly for all of us here, we're super excited to interview today, and that's former NC State running back Tremayne Stevens. Tremayne, thanks so much for joining us today, my man.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, again, first of all, before we get rolling into this here, just as a reminder, make sure, again, if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's free to do, and to make sure that you don't miss out whenever we release new NC State content. Give this video likes, so that way more NC State fans throughout YouTube will be able to see our video. And also, to make sure to give us a follow at Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter or Instagram. But first of all, Tremayne, so again, with all of our followers know exactly where we're going with the first question. But one of the things we always love to do is really just kind of ask the guest kind of where they are in today's world. I know obviously that a lot of NC State fans probably know that you're obviously the CEO of ADS.
Right.
But just kind of asking, is there anything outside of that that's going on with you right now, or you've just been absolutely just balls to the wall on ADS really recently?
Well, yeah, man. Really, it's that's been kind of it, right? So I started my own actual speed training facility, athletic development systems in Gastonia, North Carolina, and so I've had a chance to kind of work with a lot of athletes. I've sent many guys up to NC State. Unfortunately, I've sent many guys to Carolina as well. That wasn't the plan, right? That was not the plan at all. They kind of actually steer away from their upbringing, which is not good at all. But yeah, man, just been actually working on that. COVID kind of put a little bit of a hit, but I was able to take some, other avenues and do some online stuff. And so that's really been my life. That, of course, my wife and stuff as well, and my daughter, who is a volleyball player that is about to commit to, I'm not quite sure where yet, but we're going to find out here over the next few days. So she's a top level athlete. She was the North Carolina the 1A state player of the year. So I'm more proud of that than I am of anything that I've ever done. So just to watch her kind of blossom and grow is really, really fun.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And so I got to ask you though this as well, because I'm sure a lot of a lot of our viewers are probably really curious about this as well as I am. But so how was the transition process through COVID? I mean, obviously developing players is such a, face-to-face interaction
Right.
thing, and so obviously it's tough because I mean it's easy to say, all right, go run 20 laps,
Right.
but it's harder to basically make sure that they're committed, that they actually do the work,
Right.
as well, because I think that's really a lot. That's more than half the battle right there.
It is.
So I mean, so tell me about that. So I mean, like, is it more just that your players really have to buy in even more to committing to the process, or is there still things that you were able to do on your end through COVID?
Well, I guess with the buy-in, it's just more of not being able to be at my physical facility, right? So I have a 55,000 square foot facility that's got, 3 turf fields, and it's always something running and going. I got guys down here, guys here. And so basically our building, it just shut down. So I really actually found out the ones who were truly committed, because of course it was March, April, in North Carolina. So it's hot outside. So we had to basically do a transition to where we're going outside the fields. I'm training guys through Zoom. So you're right. I kind of found out the guys who really, really wanted it, because, hey, it was hot. We're going to these fields and stuff like that. These soccer fields, there's a stadium area that is right by us. We're running stadiums. A lot of people were like, dude, I'm not running them stadiums. I would much rather be on the inside in the AC. But
Sure.
it gave me a chance to kind of rehone my skills and where I was actually from, because that's where I first started. I first started out at fields training and stuff like that. So it kind of brought me back to my base. And then it helped those athletes to kind of learn a little bit more of, things that you don't need to just have a nice spot to train. You can train outside, you can train outdoors. And so it came back full circle for me, and that was really, really good.
Well, I'm curious with that. As a trainer, I imagine being a player and you playing in the NFL. I think with the Chargers, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
Yeah. So it was ends up at NC State running back. how much of the workouts that you do, because you got it on Instagram and you put all these videos on, short clips on how to do certain workouts to build
Right.
biceps or shoulders or whatever, your back, legs. Do you have to come up with your own workouts? Have you seen that own progression of your own way of doing things with the training or you're building off of stuff you've learned and gone through in college and NFL? Like, what has that been like for you?
So it's a little bit of both of those things. It's a little bit. So I've got about 12 trainers that actually train at who train at my facility, and they are all younger than me. So I'm the old head. I'm 45, so I'm the old guy, right? And so a lot of it comes from the things that, I know help to make me who I am. So kind of like the old school way of the balls to the wall, going hard, run through the wall. When you get done through the wall, then go to the next wall and keep running, keep going. But then I'm also learning from these younger guys who, it's a totally different way of training now, where, you look at metrics, you look at numbers, you look at this. I mean, basically the way the state is training their guys now where they, have the knuckle outfit with these suits
More
to
data
tell.
driven sometimes.
Right. It's data driven.
Yeah.
So I've had to kind of learn that as well. I'm just a huge believer in that, if you stop learning, you stop growing. And so every single day I'm learning something new. So I try to take those two things, my old school way, and kind of the new school approach, and I try to merge them in a way that is a benefit for my athletes.
Awesome.
And because Tremayne, one thing's too, like hearing like kind of what you're talking about, like how they train today's day and age. So is there a difference between an athletic trainer, like more of what I'm guessing you would describe yourself as,
Mm-hmm.
and then a strength and conditioning coach?
Oh, of course. So I look at old Thunder Dan up at NC State, and he's obviously one of the best in the business, if not definitely the best in the conference. And I look at what he does, and he gets these guys ready for that 60 minutes of game day. And so everything that he's doing is a progression into how we can help to get these guys stronger, bigger, faster on those things. And granted, I focus some on strength too, but my main component is basically on the field work, speed, agility, quickness, explosion, those type of things that kind of help. When I have like maybe certain guys who I know want to do extra, then we'll kind of bring in some of that, actual strength training as well. But we definitely differ, although I think that Coach Thunder can probably do a little bit of it all because he's seen it all. But I tend to focus more on speed, agility, quickness. And as we're doing that stuff, then obviously we are getting stronger as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let me ask you one other obvious question as well. But obviously, with you being from Greer, South Carolina, and playing in Raleigh, North Carolina,
Right.
what made you end up in Gastonia?
Oh man, it's crazy how this happened. So, I went to the Chargers. I was there for 3 seasons. I played for a little while with the Colts. I was there for about maybe 3 or 4 games, and then once I found out, I went to Jacksonville, had a workout with them. It didn't go as planned. And so I realized, like, you know what? I'm going to go back and actually get, my degree. So I went back to NC State. I literally walked into class. Like, I didn't have anything, as my mom said. I just walked in the door and just asked like these teachers if I could just please be in your class. And I got all of my classes done. And literally, when I graduated, it was like I was recruited all over again. I had a degree in parks and recreation and tourism management, and so literally like Salisbury Recreation, Durham Recreation, Ashford, like they started to basically. I was going to these places and they were doggone whining and dining me and take me out as if I'm like being like a recruit or something. Come on in, baby. I'm sorry. That's my daughter coming in from practice.
All good.
You're good.
All good.
And so I was, baby, close the door. close. Okay, good. So I was basically um, just going through all this stuff, and people were treating me great. I came to Gastonia, and literally, I can't make this up, man. I'm doing a interview for their Parks and Rec, and I hear shooting, and so I duck down up under the table, and I'm down, and I come up, and the lady who is over this rec center is sitting there like, "What are you doing? Like this happens every single day here. Like this is what we deal with. This is why we need you, Tremayne, as a black male in this black neighborhood to bring some positive." And I was like, okay, this is what God has for me. I don't need to be winding down. I don't need to be in a place where I'm just a person. I need to be in a place where I can make a difference. And that's how I wound up at Gastonia.
Wow.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's
So
a great story.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. So
Yeah.
those gunshots brought me to Gastonia.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Gunshots. Well, I got to stay and see what happens.
Definitely so. Definitely so.
That's cool, man. Making it awesome.
So kind of diving into a little bit about your time at state. So obviously, you came to in-state in 1994, and obviously made a big impact. But I think that one of the things that's funny is that because if I'm not mistaken, so when because the game that I think that you're most known for, which is obviously the 1995 Peach Bowl, where I mean you lit it up for sure. But you played 9 games your freshman year, correct?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
I missed the first few games with a turf toe injury.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. So first of all, I mean, obviously, coming to play under Coach Michael Caine, tell me a little bit in terms of, your first, interactions with Coach O'Cain and kind of your first initial thoughts of NC State when you were being recruited.
Okay. Well, I'm as you said, I'm from Greer, South Carolina, which is in Greenville, which is less than 30 minutes from Clemson. So everything down here is orange and white. So when I grew up, and then on top of that, my second cousin is the fridge.
Right? Really?
Is William Perry. So he's my second cousin.
Really? That's
he's from
cool.
Aiken, South Carolina. Quick story on him. I was probably in the 3rd grade. He was at Clemson. We had a show and tell at my school. I brought in the fridge for my show and tell. I was the coolest thing. What made it even crazier was that
that's so cool.
what made it even crazier was that when we got to the school, there were all these news. Like to me, he was always just he was William to me.
Family.
He was family. He's cousin William. Yeah. We got to the school and there's all these news. There's News Center 4, News Center 7, News Center 9. I'm like, how do people know what? Are they here for me? Like, I know I'm famous and all, but
yeah.
But so my room was orange growing up. Huge Clemson fan, big time guy. And then once I started to be recruited my sophomore season, NC State was the first school to offer me. So that was my first taste of, wow, I might actually have what it takes to like play at the next level. Every single high school athlete kind of, I think, maybe thinks that, but until you get kind of a little bit of, it's not verification, but a little bit of, getting some love from these coaches. And then Coach Portee, who was my running backs coach then, then he came and we talked, and then I came to state for a visit. And as I was leaving, they were like, listen, we would love to offer you a full ride. And Coach O'Cain was definitely one of the catalysts for helping me to kind of actually get there. But really, man, the main thing was Coach Portee and the other running backs that I had a chance to meet with. Out of all the schools that I went to, and my 5 schools came down to Florida State, Georgia, Clemson, Tennessee, and NC State. Out of all those schools, it's not just the school that I felt the most comfortable with. It was also the school that I felt as though I could help make a difference at. And not saying that I was going to be this great anything, right? But just like I just felt as though I had a chance to maybe do something here to where, I could help this program. So,
Mm-hmm.
And Coach O, as we all know, a great guy. My mom loved him, which is the biggest thing, right? Like I don't care what I think. If my mom doesn't love him, hey, it's just not going to work. And she absolutely loved him, and I can still think of that day when I did a news thing for the news, and I was in my high school in a library, and this was before they were doing hats and stuff like that. I just had one hat on the table, and that was my NC State hat, and I put it on, and that
So
was
can
a great
you
day.
talk about this? I'm curious what your thoughts are. You know how you mentioned being the first offer,
Right.
and a lot of times with recruits, you hear that being like a really big thing.
Right.
That's like a lot of times that means so much. Can you talk about that from a personal perspective of what that's like?
To me personally, and even not just for me, but even guys who I train, every single guy who I work with or who I train, that the first offer is like that first girlfriend, right? It's the one that first gives you the butterflies, first has you writing poems about her, like it's that type of thing. And again, by the time that I was able to make my choice, I had 37 offers. So I had a bunch of offers from all over the country.
Wow.
But one of the main things, and it was a blessing in disguise because I was kind of wavering. I loved Tennessee. I loved Rocky Top.
Oh yeah,
100,000.
they're orange and white
fans.
too.
Right. They're orange and white too. Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And they were definitely my second choice.
That's cool.
Before we continue, we want to take a quick second to tell you about our sponsor, Flatlands Insurance Group, that has your whole world covered, with agents in 5 offices throughout eastern North Carolina to help you decide how much coverage you need. Offering policies for home and auto, recreational vehicles, commercial, crop, health, life, and employee benefits. They are able to combine options to find a comprehensive solution that works for you. Flatlands Jessup protects the things you love so you can spend less time worrying and more time enjoying them. Find them on Facebook and Instagram at Flatlands Jessup. You can also visit their webpage at www.flatlandsjessup.com. So please make sure to go and check them out.
But it was. I got hurt my junior year. I hurt my back. Some schools they kind of backed off. Coach Porti called me probably every day. It was to the point where I was like, okay, dude, I get it. Like y'all are interested. I got it. Like,
You want me to come?
right, I got you. I get it. But that you never forget your first school. So when you factor that into your process, you always say, who was the one that really showed me love first, right? Who was the one
They believed in me,
right? They believed in me because, um, just a quick story. I had this guy. His name is Tanner Muse. He's a safety.
Oh,
He
yeah.
played the Clips. Okay, so we know Tanner. So I trained Tanner when he was Tanner was a sophomore going into his junior year. Was already a big kid. Was kind of fast, but not really. We worked all summer, and I have these laser timers, and we work. He was coming like 3 to 4 times a week. He went on this later timer and ran a 4.47 40 as like a 17-year-old.
Yeah, holy crap!
I made a call to NC State. I'm like, listen, man, there's a guy. He's a safety. I made that call, man. I'm like, he's a safety. And the next week they brought him up and they offered him, and he was that first offer for them. Now, what happens is once you get that first offer, other schools go, why did they offer?
It validates them. It validates it. Yeah.
Literally within the week, Clemson, Carolina, both Carolinas, Tennessee, Georgia, all these schools started flooding. And so obviously he went the Clemson route. But for me personally, it was like State took a chance on me first when nobody else did.
Yeah.
And so I didn't really care who else was coming. Yeah, that looks nice. That's great. But y'all are coming because y'all saw the State offer me. So that's what kind of helped me.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. You hear that. I really follow the recruiting side of things pretty strong. And it just interests me. But yeah, you hear that a lot. It's not every time. Like you mentioned, like Tanner went to Clemson, wasn't State, but it's just it's so interesting to me how that matters so much because it's like those schools are kind of risking poor judgment on themselves, being like, "Oh, we're going to offer this guy, and nobody else does, and he might not pan out." We're
Right.
like, no, we're putting our money where our mouth is. We believe in you. I was just curious from our players' perspective, and I guess a trainer seeing other kids go through it. See what
Yeah.
it's like.
Well, and then too, quickly, there's a lot of. I think that personally, it's always a preference thing, but it's always also something to where you have to be willing to take that chance. And I think that state does a great job of looking at guys, seeing who they are and getting to know them and getting to know their family and getting to know a little bit of their background and then making an assessment and a judgment.
Yeah.
State does a lot to where they are a school's first offer, right? Or their first major offer. And you may look at it and go, well, that kid only has offers from Western Carolina and East Tennessee State. Why did State offer him? Coach Doran and his staff do a great job of seeing something. He knows something. He knows something that others don't know. Mm-hmm. And that's why, I hate to say it, but we take these guys and we wind up building this program that we have built when other schools that maybe have a lighter hue of blue get these 4 and these 5-star guys, but they're not able to develop. They don't pan out because when it comes down to it, it's all about more than just a football player. It's the person and who they are.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
that's a great quote.
On the flip side, I always think it's interesting talking to players and former players about what their motivations were, why they picked the school. Like you said, you valued that NC State came to you first, right, and you thought you could make a difference there. For some kids, it's going to win a national championship or who can develop me into the best pro, or maybe even whoever mom likes the most.
Right, exactly. and two, this is so crazy. I'm not going to say his name, but he's actually at the Tar Heels right now. I have a guy who I train, a big time athlete. He wound up going to Carolina. He's there now. And I was like, dude, what made you choose Carolina? He was like, man, have you seen the uniforms?
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, man.
Yeah, man, they got Team Jordan. Like, what do you? So, again, it's different motivations for different kids, whether it's trying to be a part of a building program or trying to, win a championship or a good fit, or whether or not it's because they have sweet uniforms, which is dumb as hell.
I would say, have you seen the record?
Right. Have you seen them play? That's the question. But hey,
have you ever looked at them actually on the field?
Well, and one funny story too, which kind of goes right along with that, is so actually, if you go back in 2014 when Carolina beat Duke at Duke, that's when Carolina unveiled their first silver chrome helmets.
Right.
And so it was the same thing as they did in 2013 where they went out for a practice and then the equipment staff put the new helmets in and then the guys came in from the practice. I'm sorry, for the pregame and I was like, oh my God.
Right.
And literally there's a player on that highlight clip that literally was holding the helmet and goes, "This is the reason I committed." I swear. He said exactly that. And I'm like, that's not good luck.
That's not a good look.
Not good. That's not good.
That should never be the reason.
And we all know who won the Carolina game, state Carolina game that year. So,
exactly.
So anyway, but yeah, no, it's so because one of the guys as well is one of the movie that really showed me a lot in terms of from the recruiting side is the ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. I think it's called "The Best That Never Was" about Marcus Dupree,
Oklahoma.
Right.
Hey,
dude, that dude is from Philadelphia, Mississippi. I used to work down there a little bit. That's from the middle of nowhere. I'm gonna tell you what.
I can imagine.
Nowhere.
Yeah, but literally seeing how this guy grew up basically from nothing,
right?
And how all of these coaches some of the best coaches of all time would just show up at his little house where his grandma was just to talk to him and how they would just sit on his patio and just wait for him,
right?
And just it's holy smokes, that is insanity.
That's real.
And
that's how recruiting really did used to be at
times. Yeah. I mean,
it kind of still is now.
It really is. Obviously, with the social media and stuff like that, it's made it a lot more of an accessible thing. But
Right.
Back in the day, man, like, you had to physically go see these kids. You had to go out here and watch. So like, when I was playing a home game my junior year, and I look up and I'm like, oh, that's Philip Fulmer. Wow, that's okay. Like it's a Friday night. Y'all play tomorrow. Like it's and so that was kind of that was a thing. But yeah, that was real. He was on another level. Like he had everybody. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was
cool.
next level stuff.
Yeah, it was.
So one last thing I want to ask you about here. So obviously one of your former teammates, Torrey Holt,
Right.
He as of right now is up for the NFL Pro Football Hall of Fame, and I know that obviously you look back, between you and Torrey and Terry Harvey. That was a dynamic offense. But so tell me a little bit about. I mean, I'm sure that you and Torrey still stay in touch. I'm sure.
Right.
With you both being in the area. But I mean, what kind of a message would you give to the guys voting for Torrey for the Hall of Fame?
How big of a dummies are they for not putting him in yet?
I mean, well, yeah. I mean, like literally, that guy was unbelievable, and also too. I mean, you can't tell me that the finger can have a little bit to add to the coolness factor. This guy really said, "Listen, I catch better with the finger like this than with
the finger going that way." Right? Exactly.
Yeah, I catch better that way. So it's like that's insane. That's so cool.
I mean, just the fact that he's still having to go through this process to me is and again is I may be slightly biased, but like literally, one of the probably 10 best wide receivers in the history of the game. As
that
far
argument can be made,
right? You know what I'm saying? Like his what he did when he came in first season, going to Super Bowl, winning, having a touchdown, all of his stats and everything, not dropping the ball. The one thing that I guess I would say to them is that the Torrey that I know was never the fastest guy. He was never going to be, one of the quickest wide receivers as far as times and stuff in the 20-yard shuttle or in the 40. But, and I say this with the ultimate confidence and reverence, there was never a day, and I stayed up to practice a lot to get extra work. There was never a day by the time that Torrey got to school that he was not the last one on the field. Like I would be like dog tired after practice. Let me get some extra reps on the balls. Let me run through a couple of gauntlets. Let me do this. Let me focus on that. Listen, man, everybody else is going up. It's a few guys down. They're starting to trickle up bit by bit of doing some extra stuff. And Torrey is over there at the ball machine, still catching balls. And it's going on, dark. And coach had to call him up. The work ethic that he has, obviously, with him being from down, up in Gibsonville, and dad was a brick guy, and working with his hands and stuff like that. Just the work ethic that he was taught. This man literally made himself into exactly what you saw, and that is the greatest wide receiver, to come through NC State, in my opinion. Although we've had some other great ones.
In everybody's opinion.
Right. Okay. Yeah. In everybody's opinion.
He's the greatest.
He is. And he needs to be in. He needs to be in, plain and simple, just for numbers and stats and everything like that. But also, you can't find a greater guy either. Great guy. Obviously, his work that he's done in his actual post career has been amazing. Helping other people and all that stuff. Come on, man. It's a no brainer. The man needs to be in.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. So thank you so much again, everybody, for tuning in. Again, make sure, again, if you haven't already, make sure, again, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out when we release part 2 of this interview. Make sure to give this video a like, and also to give us a follow Tuffy Talk now. Make sure too, also to go get Tremayne a follow as well, and keep up with him and all his ADS ventures, man. He's changing lives and really, really touching so many kids out there. And so he does many great things that you definitely want to keep an eye on. So, but with that being said, make sure, again, tune with us for part 2. We'll see y'all then. As always, go Pack, y'all.